Hey Steve, how are you today?
What we doing, man? Hot in my apartment today. Warm in New
Uh,
York.
I see you got the Caco jersey on the wall. You ready for the second episode of the Broadway block?
I am. I wasn't ready to sweat this time, so I hung it up for decoration. But
We got nice weather these days. All right, so we're back here with the Broadway block. We're right where we left off with 34 points. Tough weekend for the Rangers, two losses. First one against the Flyers. How do you feel about it, Steve?
starting to eat my words about wanting to play the Flyers every game. Look, it was a close game. I just felt like after 20 minutes of nothing, you could kind of sniff the direction that it was sort of heading. Definitely needed to score more than a goal to start the game off, but another point to Fox, another point for old Zibanejad, and the rest of it wasn't looking too good.
Yep. I think it could have went either way that game. I think Morin hit the first goal or the first his first NHL goal for the game winner.
Yeah, I think the bigger story was Chesty looked good. I mean, the injury didn't seem to bother him. He's making those post to post moves that he's pretty known for, so wasn't wasn't all that bad, I suppose. You kind of had to expect them to come out like that, though. The Flyers, I mean, after those two games we were mentioning, I was almost expecting a barn burner in the other direction. So glad it was close, but you almost had to expect them to edge us out for that one.
And we had Knobloch behind the bench on that one. So I guess his record after that game was 4-2 in Quinn's
Yeah,
absence.
Quinn's back now. Yeah.
Yep. Quinn was back. Another game Sunday, early game. What was it, 12 o'clock?
Yeah, I got done watching the Flyers again. I wanted to watch the game that morning again and then watch the Rangers lose for a total of 4.5 hours from watching the rewind and the Capitals game. So that was nice.
So you felt as bad as David Quinn did in his first game back.
Uh, Honestly, man, 4-0, right? You're down 4-0 and you're in the third against one of the best teams in the league.
What are they?
I'm happy with the way we responded, but
They're at 48 points coming into that game. I think the only other team up there with that many points would be Tampa Bay, and Vegas right on their tail for the most points in the league. And TJ Oshie was coming in with 21 points in 32 games with 7 goals and 14 assists. So when you got a guy, a winger like that coming in and playing and making things happen, it's going to be a hard game for the Rangers.
well, we talked about it last time. I mean, like your top players have to be your top players. I mean, for them, Kuznetsov, Oshie, Tom Wilson, even a guy that just got back off of the suspension. These guys are difference makers for them, and obviously Ovechkin. They get a little luck off of the defenseman's stick there, but Ovechkin's a goal scorer. You got to expect that from him. And their top players were being their top players. The Rangers came into the game being the top penalty drawing team in the league, and the Caps stayed relatively disciplined and didn't give us too many opportunities to capitalize there. Not to say that we would have done much with it on the power play, but
I think in
they,
the Flyers game on Saturday, we were 1 for 4 on the power play. So that's a 25% shot.
We've been averaging 3.5 penalties drawn per game. So I don't know what that says about what we're doing to get that, but teams really do like to end up in the box against us. Wilson was talking in the pregame interview about staying more disciplined as a team and really buying into the team strategy. So a guy like him, you expect to make those big energy plays, maybe not score two goals. Yeah, maybe not score 2 goals, but you do expect them to get in physically, and they were pretty disciplined. So it was a vintage Cap game in that regard. The guys that scored, you don't exactly not expect to see it from those guys. Oshie, Kuznetsov, little Ovechkin there. The guys you love to hate.
Ovechkin one.
Yeah.
Well, Adam Fox continued his a point a game streak. I think he's after that Caps game, he's at 7-game point streak with 11 points in the last 4 games, 10 assists, 1 goal.
Unreal, man. Two assists in that, the Flyers game, and an assist on the only goal. Listen, man, the guy moves the puck really well. I love the move. He slid across, I believe, to the third goal, slid across the one that Kreider tipped in. It was beautiful. Draws the defender over, creates a nice little lane, and Stromer just bings one off the tape on Kreider. Samsonov didn't even look like he knew where the puck was, but that's a Kreider goal that we're not exactly not used to seeing. He stands at the top of the league in net front presence goals, and those are the goals that you need to see from the top guys. I'm happy with the way we responded though.
That
Blackwell
was
getting
his
a couple goals in
17th of
there.
the year.
Yeah. Kreider's really playing out that contract.
He only had 24 total last year.
Yeah. And only, 34 games or so played. So we'll see. I mean, the positive front was that Fox continues to do Fox things. Nothing surprising there. Strome's
Maybe
been
the
on an
number
incredible
one-
run as well. I'm sorry.
Maybe the number one defenseman there for that 3 or 4 game stretch in the whole league.
He's getting some recognition on the Norris Trophy front now. He's getting at least thrown in the conversation for the best defender in the
As
league,
he
and he should
should be.
be. Yeah,
He got robbed last year,
not many people can do what he can with the puck. Like we were mentioning last time, not to just make it the Adam Fox show, but you can talk about him for a while.
all day.
It's nice to see Blackwell, a couple points from Rooney and Blackwell. These guys are on entry level contracts, if you will. Like they're making close to league minimum. So to get
But
that effort
they're
from those
playing as if
guys,
they're a top line guy because they're trying to get their next entry level contract somewhere. You gotta like Jeff Gorton for lining these guys up and filling them in positions where he had to. He had a hard year on salary cap. We had a lot of dead cap this year, and you got to find guys to be able to play those lower lines. And Rooney and
Yeah.
Blackwell have been a pleasant surprise for where we're at. Definitely.
Yeah,
not
and on
big pieces
2-year
for the
deals.
future. Yeah, 2-year deals.
So good to see those guys chipping in. Lafreniere gets a point. We were just talking about him on the last show that we'd like to see get a little bit of extra effort from him. Nothing flashy, nothing crazy, just one of those drive to the net and hope for there's be a rebound. So very good job by Laugh there. And to come so
Gauthier bringing
close.
the puck up for Laugh. You gotta like Gauthier's hustle.
He seems like he's gonna replace Brendan Smith there on the ice time. Giuseppe drew back into the lineup due to the Brendan Lemieux trade to the Kings. We get a 4th rounder for him, and Joe's
Could you see-
probably pretty stoked about that.
Could you see Gauthier or one of these other guys getting shipped off soon, Steve?
Guys start becoming more available now. I think that since the COVID protocol makes it that you have to quarantine for 14 days before you arrive on your new team, teams aren't going to have very long with them
Deadline's
if
coming
they
up.
push it all the way up at April 12th. So if you wait until April 12th to make that trade, you might not have this guy for much of your season run before the playoffs start. So the earlier you can get a guy involved in the mix, I think not to say that the Kings acquiring Lemieux is one of those blockbuster deals by any means, but if you're looking to acquire somebody, you want to get them on the ice before the playoffs start. And I could see moves starting to happen maybe sooner than they typically do in the trade deadline conversation.
So what do you think next for the Rangers? I see today we signed Hunter Skinner, a 2019 4th round pick, entry level contract. Guy normally plays with the OHL because of COVID. Hasn't been playing as much hockey. He's going to join the Wolfpack for the rest of the year. How do you feel about that?
Pack's been great. What we need is these guys to start being a part of the process, because these 2-year deals that we're talking about for Colin Blackwell, Rooney, these
Rooney.
guys are going to be replaced hopefully by these younger breed of we've kept on to a lot of our draft picks, whereas years typically, if you're a Rangers fan, you're used to selling and trying to acquire. So holding on and being stingy, even getting those 4th round draft picks for guys like Lemieux, I think we're going to start flipping dudes for whatever we can. If you're a Strome fan, he's working his way almost to being maybe playing his way out of a Ranger uniform if he keeps producing points like this. I still stand by the idea that we should have maybe traded D'Angelo and Georgiev last year while their trade deadline value was super, super high. Now it's sort of looking like a 3rd stringer and a guy that nobody wants on their team. So
But it's
almost one of those, you hold them too long.
tough go around with Georgiev. I don't even blame some of what's happened to him. We brought in Kincaid for protection from Seattle. So who would have thought that guy was behind him ready to take his spot? Then, no one could have predicted the Tony DeAngelo situation. And then the other thing was when we came back from play after COVID for the bubble, no one even talked about Georgiev. It was the Hank Show and Igor. And Georgiev had, I think last year had the most wins out of any goalie we had. So he's kind
And
of
it's
gotten
tough.
not the right share. Maybe a new change of scenery might be the best thing for him. Or, we got to get him back out there if we ever want him to be the Georgiev we knew of. So
It's tough because, if you're Seattle, I think that the idea was we offer Kincaid, not to say that they was going to be the selection that they choose from the Rangers, but you have to offer someone who's qualified. In other words, they've started in X amount of NHL games. You can't just offer them some young prospect no one's ever heard of. So yeah, if you're Kincaid, not to say that he looked great against the Capitals, he was anything but a blockade, but it's tough. We're not in a spot where we can really say that we have the number one, number two role figured out. Obviously, Shesterkin's etched in stone there. In my opinion, I think he looked great against the Flyers, but you can expect Shesterkin to draw into the majority of the starts with Kincaid or Georgiev probably only coming in a back-to-back situation like we were in this weekend. So.
And so going forward, it looks like we got the Caps again Tuesday. I
Tuesday night game against the Caps.
Igor's going to be back in net for that one.
You can only hope. And then moving forward, the Sabres. So if we can't get into the win column on Tuesday, we hope we don't fall into the trap game. Moving forward against the Sabres, they're in a pickle, man. 15 games.
And then
in
that
a
brings
row.
up the last point we bring up today is, could there be, before the trade deadline, a trade for Eichel, or does it hold off to the summer before Buffalo figures out what they want to do? But they got to do, they got to do something up there, either fire sale, break it down from the beginning. They got to get some better people up there, coach, everything.
From what I hear, we've offered a few times, and that the price tag remains pretty high. They seem to want 4 first-round players or draft picks, which if you look around the league, I mean, you can't just send them somebody who, yeah, this guy was drafted in the first round. They're looking for talent. So a Niels Lundqvist or something of that caliber, which we do have in spades, but does it make sense to break the bank?
Buch's name brought up a couple times, but I'd hate to see him go because he just keeps playing better and better with time every game. He's in the mix. He's getting more power play time. But I could, you're going to have to give up somebody, I guess. They're going to have to realize they're not going to be able to get that what they want. And whoever it is, if it's not us, I've heard the Kings in discussion. I've even heard Boston. But I just don't see how they can make that happen with their salary cap and prospects. But anyway, I think that's all the time we have today for the Broadway block. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.